Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at Bryan Bresee, or as I like to say, Bryan Bresee, because I'm speaking that Hall of Fame into his life, yeah? So we're going to be taking a look today, and my daughter's been helping me watch the film study, and she's amazing at this. So say hey to everybody.
Hey.
All right, I hope y'all have a great time. Remember, a singular film study is not enough to do a full scouting report, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how he looks through 4 games so far in his rookie campaign. We're going to go over some good, go over some bad, and I hope you enjoy it. Type who dat down in the comment section below. Can you say who dat? Say who dat.
Oh, yeah.
Close enough. Comment section below. Appreciate it all of y'all, and we'll see you in just a second because we're about to roll through the video. Say bye-bye. All right, so to start this video, we're going to take a look at Bryan Bresee being the 0. Not very often you see 3 techs lined up in this position. This is the nose tackle position for a defensive tackle. For those that don't remember, there are 2 different types of defensive tackle. You have the just normal DT, and then we'll refer to what is an NT, which is a nose tackle. So nose tackle simply refers to a defensive tackle that lines up further inside, which is going to be where he's at, which is called a nose or a 0, but you can also call nose a 1 tech, which is right here in the inside gap, depending on which one you're at. Normally, you're going to see him lined up out here, which is called a 3 tech, that outside shoulder of a guard. But here he's going to be lined up over the top. They did a lot of this today. And you find, I think it's a little bit unique with him because, one, he's not kind of naturally at this position. This is, again, more of a run stopper spot, but in a pure pass rush situation, you might put him here. But you also see that he's still working on developing some of those counter moves. But a good initial bull rush, it's good to also remember what his role is in this situation, which is helping collapse the pocket. He's also responsible for maintaining these front side gaps in case the quarterback wants to escape. So it's not just pure get to the quarterback, it's also a measure to get to the quarterback. What I mean by that is you don't want to just try to bust up here and break away, because then you're going to open up a throwing lane or a bit of a gap. So it's important to remember that when it comes to defensive line, it's a very technical position, and it's not just as simple as, hey, get to the quarterback. You've got to be aware of, you don't want to open up passing lanes. You see this one opening up here, and this is a typical passing lane you're designed to open up as an offensive lineman. You want to make sure you're in those lanes while also pressuring the quarterback and making him move. And you get a little bit of that here. This is only a 3-man rush, very difficult to the quarterback in that spot, but I think you see a solid job in terms of his power here. Good explosion up the middle, good 2 hands driving, needs to work on counters and be aware of situational awareness, because that left guard is doing what's called looking for work, which means when you don't have a man in your gaps or your assignments, you go find somebody to get in contact with. He needs to know that's coming. But overall, decent little pocket push. And let's talk about some of the other ways that New Orleans used him in this game. Now, you probably don't necessarily think about a guy like this being in coverage, but this is DA getting a little bit cute. But obviously, if you've followed any of the Ryan coaching tree, you're used to this type of stuff. So he's going to drop back in coverage here in the short flat, which, you know what, whatever. We've seen great plays like this happen before, but a couple things he needs to learn. Number 1 is understanding NFL rules. And what I mean by that is this is actually an opportunity for him to absolutely decleat a wide receiver. Within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, so about right here to right here, is a free space to do what's called chucking a wide receiver. So you can make contact throughout these 5 yards, including absolutely derailing him, but instead he lets him kind of pass underneath. So what I would like to see him here is drop back into the spot and actually get hands-on and disrupt this route. I mean, the polite way to say it is we're rerouting the wide receiver. Well, he needs to reroute this wide receiver here. He doesn't get in the way, but goes right across and is kind of free there. Now, the pass doesn't go his direction or anything, but in terms of his assignment and how he can get better at his role is when he drops back into this one, knowing what that assignment is, disrupt that wide receiver. And he probably doesn't know that. This is something that veterans do more and more as they get older and get better. Cameron Jordan does this. Demario Davis will do it when it comes to rerouting. You're within those 5 yards, get contact. You can impede them and get hands on them in those 5 yards. Now, you can't do anything crazy like pick him up and body slam him, but you still can be more of a, influence in that route instead of where you end up having him and Alontae Taylor just stacked on each other as this receiver crosses through. Help out your team, get some hands on. There's something that he can do to work on and improve if he gets asked to do this task, a few times a game. All right, so now we got him back in that traditional 3 tech spot we talked about. So he's lined up right over the right guard on that right shoulder. Now, here is something that I do like to see from him. A little bit slow, I would say, when it comes to the counters here, but his initial move's not going to work. You see, he tries to rip through right there, isn't able to be explosive and aggressive enough to break through that clutch, and then he's going to try to counter it by spinning out of it. Now, I do like that. It's just I want to see a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. In terms of penetration, pretty good here. I mean, he's definitely made the guard move back into the pocket. And then this is my favorite part. If you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up. Now, we talked about what he's doing or what he can do to improve as a player as he gets more snaps. We talked about, that drop back where he's in coverage, reroute a wide receiver. Well, here's him making what I would call a very savvy / veteran type move. You didn't get to the quarterback, but you're near the throwing lane. Get your hands up into the throwing lane. Remember, the offensive line's goal is not just to block you out. That's not just their goal. Their goal is to create passing lanes. And typically, anywhere between the A and B gaps, depending on if they're doing a slide or whatever, they want to make it a clear vision for the quarterback. So if you don't get there, get your hands up in that passing lane. It doesn't necessarily do anything in this particular rep, but I love the rep because he's working on getting those counters. I want to see a little bit more fluid, a little bit more speed, but either way, he found a way to influence the play, and that's fantastic. Need those type of things from your young interior guy. Really like this play. I know I'm hyping up what is something that doesn't show up in the box score. This is good. His initial rip doesn't work. We work through our counter. A little bit slow, but still, I like that rep. It's only going to get better. This is 4 games into an NFL career, y'all. I like this. We talk about the twist stunt game a lot. This is going to be a tackle to end stunt. It's not the cleanest one, but it's effective, even though you have a quick pass here by Tampa. The design here I do like. So what the idea is remember, we want to drag this guard with us, and we want to attack this tackle, allowing Cameron Jordan to wrap around. So this is what's called a tackle to end stunt. So we're starting with the tackle. If you ever see a stunt listed like this, T to E, E to T, T to T, etc., the first one is simply denoting who is leading the way, who's the point man on that one. And this one, Breezee's the point man. So you're going to see a perfect execution of a point man stunt a little bit later in today's video, but you want to make sure you get enough contact with that guard to lure him in. So at the snap, a little bit there, double swipe, I like it, and then drive that inside shoulder of the tackle, and not quite there. He just doesn't move it out of the way perfectly, and then Cameron Jordan getting around. So it's still a good version of it. The best combo for the New Orleans Saints in the past decade was Sheldon Rankins and Cameron Jordan run this twist stunt game. But in terms of where he's at, hey, 4 games in, I like this rep, and I love that they're trusting him enough to start doing this. Cameron Jordan's going to flow off his hip and work inside, but again, this is just a simple, immediate, quick release pass. You're probably not going to have a shot of getting there, but in terms of what they're doing to not only try to utilize his ability, but also try to open things up with other guys, I like to see that type of rep. All right, this one, I'm going to give you a run play real quick. I think run defense is the area that he has the most growth to still do, though he still has growth everywhere. But stuff like this, you see, this is where you're a great athlete. And short area quickness, something we talk about a lot. You ever ask, well, why does that short shuttle matter at the NFL Combine? Why do we care about his 3-cone? Why does everybody care about the 10-yard split on a 40-yard dash? This right here is why you look for those elite traits. He's going to cross the face of the guard, come through right here, split the gap. He knows the direction kind of coming through, whether you're running duo or zone. He does a great job to slip it, get through, tackle for loss. He has a couple of great plays like this in this game of a similar manner. Again, this is getting to where that movement quick, that reaction speed, they just don't have enough for that left guard. And he's just completely crossed his face, split it, and it's a great job attacking that A gap. Now, this is a design call. This is usually not something that you're going to have a player make a decision on. If it is, fantastic. I'm going to give him even more compliments. But great job with that quickness to split the gap here and create a negative play. Love this one. And while there are different ways that he can get better in the run game, stuff like this is what makes a guy be potentially special. There's something about being technically sound, and then if you can combine technically sound with great ability in terms of being an athlete, you get a tremendous player. And that's part 1 of what you need to become a tremendous player. We like that. Now just continue to refine the technical abilities, and let's move on to the next rep. Okay, so when I was making this video, I made very clear that I wanted to show that he is not a fully refined product. So remember how I talked about it? He needs to work on counters, and film study is going to be his friend. He needs to do more of that. Well, guess what? The opponent does it too. And I've mentioned this a lot in the podcast. Bryan Bresee's favorite move is his spin move, and he is deadly at it. But here's the thing. Offensive lines around the NFL are good. This is no longer college. They study too, and they know, and they're looking for it here. Watch it. So he's going to rush upfield right there, attacks the arm. That center is, we know what's coming. Like we've studied you, young man. We know your move. We know what you like to do. Bam. Right in his face immediately. Imagine coming out of a spin move to be eating helmet, right? And again, I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm saying that as he gets deeper and deeper into the game, he'll need to continue to improve his technical ability and add moves to his tool chest so that these type of things aren't predictable. This is pure Class A, great film study and great work by the offensive line. And you can tell by how sudden and quick it is that they know this is a go-to move for him. Because it's not just something as simple as we read it coming. Look at immediately, you have what's called a drag arm there by the center. So anytime you see an offensive lineman holding his hand out there and he's looking the other way, it's called a drag arm. So that means that you're paying attention to this area while feeling the opposite side to make sure that you're not needed. So we already know to look that this man is going to try to spin inside. His eyeballs are there. He's waiting for it. And as soon as it happens, man, he's going to put a big smile on the offensive line coach's face. Shows that he paid attention in the film room that week because, bam, eating helmet. This is something that Bryan will have to continue to grow at. And I'm not really trying to give it as a huge negative here. I'm not really critiquing him as a player. I'm simply saying that the more he progresses in the league, the better he can do at avoiding stuff like this by developing a better pass rush plan and having a more effective move set that you can't just know that, hey, we know on these type of plays, he likes to spin inside and get caught with a face full of helmets. So all this to say, I love his development. I think he's doing really well. There's definitely places that he can still ascend to. And I think that's a good thing because if we knew everything through 4 games in his rookie career, that probably wouldn't be very good. But let's look at another play and hope that the bruises on his face are healed up by the time we get to the next one. All right, so a couple things here. Number one, I told you you're going to see the master of stunts here in terms of how to operate them. And number two, you thought I'm going to let you just see a play that's a negative for him without giving you a positive right after. That's not how we do it here. So this is not, in my opinion, his most impressive play of the day because this is a design play to take advantage of all the positive we've said. Like, this isn't him dominating one-on-one. His sack comes from Demario Davis being a master at this stunt. And this would technically kind of be a tackle-to-tackle stunt right here, even though Demario Davis is a linebacker. First, I want you to focus on Demario. Look how well he does. So he's going to push outside with his first step. What does this do? It gets the guard to commit to him because now the guard's going to chase. So it's going to turn the guard's body completely away. Why is that important? That makes the loop even easier because now you're forcing the guard to go against, you have to be going against his momentum to try to react to the stunt. So Demario is putting on a clinic here. Then crash inside. Bam. Now, notice how he did not crash into the guard. Also, missed face mask call. He got the guard to commit to him, and now the guard is chasing. Watch what he does now. Bam! Shoulder into the inside of that center and completely takes him out. This is a masterclass for a linebacker at running the interior stunt. It's absolutely freaking gorgeous. I love this rep, and I'm not saying any of this to say that the rookie is not good. I'm just saying that this is not an impressive play because of him, although you do see his great short area quickness pop off here. Because look, initially, first, second sell, bam, fight inside. That man's got a motor for a big guy. But who's putting on a master class right here? Demario. Remember, right here, we're going to sell outside, bam, bam, boom, break inside. Oh, he's committed. Now, what did I say about that guard? Look how he cannot react to the rookie now. It's impossible. And he's going to, or Demario's going to take out the center. That is just a master class on running the stunt on the inside as a linebacker, opening something up for your interior defensive tackle who gets a sack. Great job by both players. But if you want to talk about what you're looking to see from Bresee when he is running as the point man on the stunt, because this is, like I said, technically, this is a tackle to tackle stunt. So the point man here would be Demario Davis. He's the point man on this one. And this is just chef's kiss on how to do it. And the crazy thing is, this will never show up on a stat sheet. And when we talk about, or I try to talk about how great Demario Davis is as a player, it's plays like this. Things that you can't go mark on a stat sheet or add to your advanced analytics that makes him such a tremendous player. So anyway, it is a great job by Bresee. Don't get me wrong. He does his job well here, but woo, my golly, Miss Molly. Mario Davis. Ugh. All right, so let's take a look at another run rep here. And the reason I want to focus on this is, again, we're just talking about what he's doing well, but also how he can still improve a little bit. And this is where we get into me talking about the drop leg technique. I've talked about this quite a bit when we look at Colin Saunders and Malcolm Roach. And this is an area that he can still improve on, but he's not doing bad. So at launch, does a good job to attack inside. He needs to lock out this back leg. He's going to try to drop that forward one, but it's almost like he's caught between I'm trying to drive upfield and I'm trying to take on a double team. You know, if you're in this situation, best bet, lock out, don't give up ground. And he tries to, you see he's lowering his center of gravity. That's good. We love lowering his center of gravity. He's dropping that inside leg. Good. But you need to make sure you lock out that back so you don't get any drive. Now, he happens to be strong enough as a player. Like, he is a physical specimen of a man that he can stall it without proper, like, 100% good technique. But in terms of what you want to see from this technique to split the double team and really stonewall it, you want to make sure you get that back leg locked out completely, engage, and then once you've got it engaged, you've stalled them, then you try to work in and split that team. Overall, I think he does a good job here. And a little veteran move that you'll see some guys make in this situation, I'm not telling them to do it, but a veteran move would be once you get in here right here, see that? Lock in, grab him here, and hold him. I know I just said a dirty word, holding. I'm just saying, if you're talking about veteran ways to win, grip strength. And he kind of does a little bit there and then let go when he notices. I'm just saying, like, if you hold him there, woo! I know y'all don't like me telling you. I'm just telling, this is how the trenches work. Everybody complains about holding penalties. I'm telling you, holding happens basically every play. It's about whether you get caught. And it is really tough. And you go listen to the O-line coaches, they complain about this all the time because it's really tough to see this. You can see offensive holding really well. You can't see defensive holding really well. Why? Because not the New Orleans Saints, the NFL has dedicated umps to sit in this backside to see this part of the field. But if you notice, they removed this one. There used to be, back in the day when I was a kid, there used to be a guy that stood right here that would see this side of the line of scrimmage. Well, he's gone now. So defensive linemen, you can see we're looking 20 yards back. Defensive linemen, if they want to get away with it, they can make that hold. And it is almost impossible to see for a backside judge. I'm not saying you can't see it. It's possible. But I'm saying that the NFL took away that. So a little veteran savvy move, get you a little sneaky hold in there real quick to hold up the guy from reaching to Mario Davis. Like, woo! I like it. Still needs to get perfect on that drop leg technique, but in terms of a couple of the other things that he's doing, I like it. All right, here's another. This is going to be him doing a one-arm, long arm here in run defense. And the reason I like this is because he's defending the gap. Now, this is going to cut back against him. His job is to try to penetrate, push back, and not give up ground because obviously they're trying to flow in his direction. And he's got responsibility of this gap. So looks like we got a split zone run here, and the running back does a good job to cut it back. I think Bresee does a good job as well. My future Hall of Famer. I'm trying to speak it into your life. Does a good job to control his gap and get forward momentum and penetration and then try to cut back. The only thing I would say is he needs to spot this quicker. When he gets engaged, he needs to identify the ball faster and then break back when the cutback happens. So right here, he should be breaking back. Instead, he's still engaged and he doesn't notice until later. He's also got to be very careful about hands to the face there. So I like it. It's kind of like the same rep on the last rep. There's things I love about this rep, and there's things that you still can see him get better at. And I want to remind you, this is not me looking at him as like an 8-year veteran and going, it's just not good enough. This is me looking at him as a guy who's got 4 games in the NFL going, wow, he's doing all this already? Nice. So this is a very positive thing for me. I mean, it's not perfect. This is not a perfect rep. You want to see him use this technique immediately and then break away from it. We want to shed this immediately. Get back inside. Now, yes, he does have Malcolm Roach right next to him. Roach can actually do a better job here of forcing the matter too. I'm not saying I know that's true. But anyway, all I'm saying is little things he's doing well. It just is not perfect yet. But man, that's some really good tape so far for a guy who's got 4 games. Let's look at another. All right, last one we're going to look at today. Again, he's lined up as a 3-tech, his more natural position. And again, just needing to see him get better with counters, especially when guys do have great grip strength from an offensive line standpoint. So number one, he's going to try to just go straight ahead in terms of he's He's in control of that outside gap in this situation, that B gap, and how's he going to work through it? So initially, we're going to try to bull rush it, but that guard gets inside hand placement right on our chest. So then you want to do what's called the forklift. If they get you here, you got to break it, and there's a couple ways to break it. So this is a crappy position to be in. So number one thing that you can do, you can try to use your arm like a club. So if he's got me right here, I'm going to use this hand as reference. If he's got me like here, I'm going to take my other hand and try to club it down. I'm going to try to knock, and honestly, this can hurt really bad. If you ever had it happen to you, it hurts like a son of a gun. You'll make a club and beat it down. Now, if you don't want to do that, especially if your momentum is trying to push back and push forward, another thing you can do is take your hand and do what's called the forklift. You want to grab him underneath and then use your strength to push up. And this can be really effective in a bull rush situation because normally you already have your momentum moving forward. So you're using that momentum with that low center of gravity that you should have, and you're driving up already. So you kind of naturally are doing something similar. He's just got to make it happen. You see, he can't make that break happen. He can't get that grip strength off of him. And again, this is something he's got to do to get better at countering because he gets washed up the field here. This is a great block by the left guard. Initially, you like the plan from Bryan. He's just got to be more effective. And you can see that he rocks him. His initial thump with those arms, we talk about being heavy-handed. He does a good job to rock the left guard. But the left guard does a great job to recover, gets inside, and that grip strength gets in place, and it's locked in. And even though he's only got one arm, he's got it locked in. And that's where you've got to get the young buck stronger, better with his technique so that he can beat this. I would recommend that forklift. He's just got to get strong enough to actually transfer that power and drive it away. And that way he can take this and go this way instead of what the guard ends up doing, which is keeping that power and driving him this way. So little things that are going to get better, hopefully over time, where, yeah, you're going to see some great plays. He's not a perfect, really fine player, but it's going to get there. At least I believe it is. I love what I've seen so far early on. So I hope after watching this video, you have a lot of positives when you think about the rookie in Bryan. And I think that, sure, there are definitely plays I can point out run and pass where you want to see it get better. The only thing that I can really add is context is always important in these type of things. And we're talking about a guy who's got 4 NFL games under his belt and is not a perfect, specimen in terms of like, he did not come out like, oh my gosh, he's going to be an NFL All-Pro immediately. He's a guy that has some things that need to be refined. But in terms of how they're using him and how quickly he's acclimating, I think he's doing a good job. And when I look at this overall, yeah, there's some plays that can be better, but also I look and go, wow, in terms of what he's doing at this level and in terms of what he's doing at this point in his career, it makes you very optimistic for the future. I mean, he is performing very well early on. And the tricky thing is with defensive guys and offensive and defensive linemen is they don't really have those analytics like a wide receiver does so that you can visibly see on a stat sheet that they are doing really well, right? It can be tough to kind of see that. But when you break it down in these type of plays with the All-22, you can see a lot of things that he's doing really well and a lot of things that just make you go, wow, give him some more time and things are going to get better. So this focus was all on him. We didn't really focus on anybody else except Demario Davis's amazing play, but let me know who you want to see for the next film study down in the comments section below. I try to do at least 2 to 3 film studies a week. Sorry, voice going out, as well as my podcast and our work over there on Bleacher Report. Make sure that if you enjoyed this video, it helps out the channel a lot. If you like it, hit the subscribe button after you hit that little thumbs up, and then do me a huge favor, share it out to all the Who Dat Nation so that we can help all of our Who Dat Nation be well informed and enjoying our Saints even more every Sunday. Who Dat, God bless. I'll catch y'all all in the next film study. My name's Rev Deuce. Deuces, that's me. Catch you. Let's see, next, whatever. See you later.